There are somewhere between 80 and 100,000 of them on highways, in neighborhoods, outside your local hardware store, small cameras on poles that photograph every license plate that passes, log the time and the place, and store it in a searchable database. You've driven past dozens of them this month. You probably didn't notice a single one. The company is called Flock Safety. It's valued at $7.5 billion. It has more than 12,000 clients, including over 5,000 law enforcement agencies, and its cameras cover more than 4,000 communities. And right now, it's losing contracts across the country, one city council vote at a time. This is the story of how that happened. Not because a court struck the system down, not because Congress passed a law, because ordinary people found out what the cameras were actually being used for, and refused. Start with what the system actually is, because the pitch is very reasonable. Pole-mounted cameras, optical character recognition, machine learning that reads not just plates, but vehicle details, roof racks, bumper stickers. It flags stolen cars, supports amber and silver alerts, finds wanted vehicles. Flock says its readers have helped locate more than 1,000 missing people. Nobody sensible argues that finding missing children is bad. That's not the argument. The argument is about what happens after you build a searchable national record of where every car in America has been. Because here's the part the sales pitch skips. These cameras aren't isolated systems owned by your town. They're a network. A police department in one state can search cameras in another, and that capability, the thing that makes the product valuable, is exactly where it broke. In May 2025, reporting emerged that a Texas sheriff's office had used Flock's national lookup tool to search for a woman who had obtained abortion care. According to a congressional letter from Representatives Krishnamurthy and Garcia, the stated search reason entered into the system was, had an abortion, search for female, and the search spanned over 6,800 networks, pulling data from more than 83,000 cameras, including in Illinois and Washington, states where abortion is legal. Flock disputes the characterization completely. The company says the sheriff's office reported that a family had called for help, a relative had self-administered an abortion and then run away. The family feared she was hurt, and deputies ran the broadest search available to find her. She was located safe in Dallas 2 days later. No charges were ever filed. She was searched for as a missing person, not a suspect. Both of those accounts can be true at the same time, and that's precisely the problem. Because notice what nobody disputes. A single deputy in one Texas county was able to query 83,000 cameras across state lines in seconds, and the only record of why was a sentence he typed into a text box himself. One of the departments whose data got pulled, Mount Prospect in Illinois, later withdrew from the program and called the search a misuse of its systems. That single incident triggered an audit, and the audit is where this gets serious. Illinois had passed a law, effective 2024, prohibiting out-of-state agencies from searching Illinois plate reader cameras for specific purposes: immigration offenses, gender-affirming care, and abortion. The Secretary of State ordered a statewide review in June 2025. What it found was that U.S. Customs and Border Protection had been accessing Illinois data. Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias stated flatly that this was a clear violation of state law and that company leadership had been unaware of a pilot program with CBP. Read that again. The company running 100,000 cameras did not know which federal agencies had access to its data. Flock's CEO Garrett Langley responded in a blog post acknowledging that the company had communicated poorly and that it had failed to build distinct permissions and protocols to ensure local compliance for federal agency users. The company paused its pilot programs with CBP and Homeland Security investigations nationwide and said 47 agencies had been removed from access to Illinois data since the audit began. Then the audit kept turning things up. In Oak Park, Illinois, an account tied to the Palos Heights Police Department had searched local Flock data 28 times with the stated purpose of investigating an immigration violation. Reporting by the Chicago outlet Unraveled, based on text messages obtained through a public records request, described a Palace Heights detective sharing his login with a DEA agent, who then ran unauthorized searches using that login, a shared password. That was the access control. And this is where you have to stop thinking about policy and start thinking about architecture. Because Flock did respond to the abortion search controversy. It built a tool that automatically flags and blocks searches containing terms indicating an impermissible purpose. Words like abortion, immigration, ICE. Those filters went live in late June. The ACLU of Massachusetts tested how well that works by reading the audit logs. In September 2025 alone, one Oregon police department ran searches after typing investigation into the reason field 111 times and hehehe 20 times. The filter blocks forbidden words. It does not require true words. There is no verification step, no case number requirement by default, no supervisor sign-off. The entire accountability mechanism is a free text box, and it can be defeated by typing literally anything else. In Dayton, a city audit found the city's own camera data had been searched more than 7,100 times for immigration enforcement. Searches explicitly prohibited under Dayton's own policy. The ACLU has also documented officers arrested for using Flock cameras to stalk former partners, and here's the structural point that matters more than any single incident. The sharing isn't a flaw in the system. The sharing is the system. A network where a small-town department can search nationwide is more valuable than 100,000 isolated cameras. Easy access is the product, which means every safeguard is a feature bolted onto something designed to do the opposite. So people started pulling the plug. Between August 2021 and May 2026, 82 Flock contracts were terminated across 28 states, according to reporting by the San Francisco Standard. Evanston and Oak Park ended their contracts. Denver's City Council voted unanimously. In April of 2026, elected officials in Dane County, Wisconsin, voted overwhelmingly to cut funding for 24 cameras the sheriff's department had been leasing, after anger spread across Nextdoor and Facebook. Supervisor Chad Kemp framed the concern directly. People being monitored without their knowledge, and whether warrantless tracking is even constitutional. Mountain View disabled its cameras after discovering Flock had shared its license plate data with hundreds of agencies, including federal ones, without permission, and that some lookup features had been switched on without the city knowing. In February 2026, Amazon-owned Ring cancelled its planned integration with Flock after public outcry. That merger would have connected millions of private doorbell cameras to a centralized, searchable law enforcement network. And in July 2026, the Los Angeles Police Department declined to renew its contract until Flock has clear privacy rules in place. Washington State went legislative. Its new law limits Flock readers and their data to felony investigations and other immediate needs, bans sharing the data outside of court, and requires most of it to be deleted within 3 weeks. Deletion timelines, purpose limits. Those two things, applied to any surveillance system, do more than any amount of corporate policy language. Now, the part I actually want you to take away. Chad Marlowe, a privacy and surveillance lawyer at the ACLU, described the moment this way. The country is in a uniquely anti-surveillance environment where, at a time when nothing seems to escape partisanship, opposition to government surveillance has stayed non-partisan. That's the whole thing. That's why this one worked. Every other privacy fight in the last decade got sorted into a team, and once it did, half the country stopped listening. This one didn't. The complaint in Denver and the complaint in rural Wisconsin were the same complaint. Nobody asked us, and nobody can tell us who's looking. Notice what actually beat a $7 billion company, not a landmark ruling, not federal legislation, which still doesn't exist. City council meetings, public records requests, local audits. People posting on Nextdoor, the most boring civic machinery available, aimed at a specific contract with a specific renewal date. And notice the vulnerability that made it possible. Surveillance infrastructure is expensive, and it runs on procurement. Somebody has to vote to pay for it in public on a schedule. That vote is the pressure point, and it's the only part of this entire system that was ever built to listen to you. I'll end on the honest note because this isn't a victory lap. 82 cancelled contracts out of 12,000 clients is under 1%. The cameras are still up almost everywhere. Flock has already moved into drones. And a company that didn't know which federal agencies were in its own database still holds a record of where your car has been. But something did happen here that hasn't happened in a long time. People found out, got specific, showed up, and won. Not everywhere, but somewhere. That's not nothing. Most of the time in this field, the answer is that it's already too late. This time, it wasn't. Stay off grid.